I think there's a lot of sort of must-dos in marketing. So if you read Entrepreneur Magazine or you read any marketing publications or even the Wall Street Journal or Huffington Post, and pick your publication, there's all these top 10 lists of things that you must do to grow your business. And I would argue most of them you can just put right in the garbage because you can't, they don't necessarily apply to every business, and how they get applied is different in every business. It's not quite so linear. Just because I put this on Facebook doesn't mean that people are going to know about us and come. How is it we're going to tell people we're here, get people through the doors of the store, and creatively go after the people that we're looking for? So we did things like handing out flyers at the Metro, because they're right by DuPont Circle. We sent direct mail postcard to a half-a-mile radius around the store. We did a lot of in-store promotions to try to bring people in. And yes, we use social media to promote it. And we put things in the email newsletter and all that stuff, but it was a company that was willing to think beyond oh, I'm just going to put it on Facebook, I'm just going to send an email blast, and really get creative at how to target the people that they want to bring in the store. And it worked. They just had their first anniversary, and the store was jam-packed just like it was the opening day. Because that's the one thing that, if there's any piece of advice that I give to all of my clients, it's, is this tactic going to work for you? And just because it's on some top 10 list does not mean that there is no silver bullet. There's no perfect marketing answer that's going to work for every business. And is this going to work for your business? If the answer is yes, is this going to put you in front of your potential customers, then it's a great opportunity. And if it's something cool and trendy because everyone's on Instagram, but your business is not very visual, it's okay to not be on Instagram. I'm even going to give you permission not to be on Facebook. It's such a good example because for them, direct mail and standing there and handing out flyers, I'm literally talking about a piece of paper like this at the Metro. It was very impactful because it made sense for them. And so that's why I think it's such a great example is something going to make sense for you? And if it is, go for it. It does not have to be because it's cool and trendy. And you look at those top 10 lists, and social media, being on every platform, is at the top of most of them. And I would argue that's a big waste of time a lot of the time if that's not where your audience is. So during the AM rush, the flyers focused on the coffee bar and the lunch grab and go. In the afternoon rush, flyers focused on the bar because they have $4 craft microbrew pints.
We've got a daycare facility based in Mountain County, and they've been in operation for 20 years, but we're about to close their doors. They had 4 different failings. They knew that the reason for this was a administrator who was bad-mouthing them. So when this person left, she then started writing all kinds of bad reviews. They had a horrible reputation online, and they were going to have to close their store if they did, or their location if they didn't get these things up. So what we did was we couldn't just go to their exact audience because then that's preaching to the people who were already with them. They needed more people coming in. So we actually went to Dulles Moms is a group of women that talk about what's going on in the county. We were able to pay them to start posting great things about the daycare center. So it's not always about using social media just as it is, but sometimes you can pay for boosted posts and pay to get to the people that you want to get to. So it's a matter of sometimes using a sponsored post directly through Facebook or finding out who has access to your target. That helped them. Giving the people who were already with them, saying, okay, hey, we'll give you $500 off the next tuition or the next this, that, or the other if you can bring us 10 different names of people who might be willing to use our services. So we combined referral programs with the social media, the paid social media pieces, with actually sending flyers home, because email doesn't always reach people, but sending flyers home in the kids' backpacks. Basically, it's a matter of trying to think outside the box and make sure that you're reaching your target audience, whoever those people are. $500 to give someone, you look at what is the success rate, and we were thinking about, okay, it's maybe a 10% success rate, and we said the 10 names, we thought we would get at least one person signing up if someone gave you 10 names. And that $500 is nothing when you compare it to like a year-long daycare daycare tuition of what that costs. So ultimately, for them to pay $500 per one, 10% success rate, that gave them a great return rate.
Who do you think they had this particular company does market research for other organizations, and market research being surveys, focus groups, informational interviews. And at the time, Bank of America had just really upset all of its customers by adding new fees. So the client's idea was to focus on credit unions as a particular market to focus on, because they figured everyone would be leaving Bank of America and going to a credit union because credit unions are better and more fair and so forth and so on. And so we got there and we had there are so many credit unions around here. I was just amazed at how many credit unions there are in the Washington, D.C. area. But we went out and we talked with them, and yes, they were interested in market research to understand how to serve these new potential customers and grow their customer base. But typically, they were only willing to invest maybe $3,000 to $5,000 in such exercises. Now, the client wanted projects that were closer to $25,000 to $40,000 in value. And so we looked at all of the clients that they had that were spending that kind of money, $25,000 to $40,000, and profiled them. They had a profile. They have X amount of revenue that they're generating. They have certain types of customers that they're serving, and there are reasons that they wanted that information. So we shifted to organizations that were that matched the profile of the client that was spending that kind of money. And immediately we started focusing on, we left the credit unions behind for the moment, to organizations, and the profile ended up being, we focused on professional trade associations. They serve a membership. They generally spend a lot of money on market research. We focused on ones that were between $10 million and $25 million in annual operating budget. A lot of people think they're nonprofits. They don't have money. They have tons of money, and they spend tons of money. We focused. We found that the ones that were in that range often bought, maybe half a dozen market research projects a year in the range that we needed to spend. Just like you have with any product, there will be conferences and meetings and events all around that particular type of thing. And you would really look at what they do, what businesses are involved, what alliances that they have, just every person that they touch that has an interest in that, and we would design a strategy around that, right? Looking at every different angle. Now, in terms of the newer market, like I think of a Harley Davidson, right? Because people would think that there's a certain Harley rider, but they've learned that women are one of their bigger buyers. So I would look at what they did to really open their marketplace up to women so they could sell more bikes to women. And then that could be very similar to what you just shared with us. If there's a market where that you haven't tapped into, or no one's really tapped into an archery business, we look at that and how to begin marketing to the untapped market. So it's both. You got to work both. You got to
2 years ago.
Things. And when there are youth events, you can possibly get a table and have someone showing what's going on and attract people that way. Different events where you can tell people about yourself. Especially local businesses, there's a lot you can accomplish over versus national, and you can do Google AdWords relatively easy, so that if people are actually looking for you, you can geo-target those ads so it's just in the Newcastle, Pennsylvania area, which makes it cheaper than what you might think.